I enjoy being barefoot when I have the opportunity. Today I come out here, I'm walking around in the forest and pond and river and stuff, and I've got my bare feet, and I get in like mud, squished between my toes, and mud and leaves caked on the bottom of my feet and stuff, and I'm just loving it. And for me, there's several reasons why I enjoy the barefoot thing. Um, One of them is it's like all my other clothes. For instance, I'm wearing shorts today because the weather is such that I can get away with wearing shorts. It's not too hot today, but it's not too cold. And anytime I can get away with wearing shorts, I'm gonna do it, because to me, when I'm in shorts, I feel less confined. I have more freedom of movement. And whereas a lot of guys that I know, they don't leave the house unless they're wearing some really kind of like tight Wrangler jeans or Levi's or something like that. I can't even wear jeans anymore. I don't even own any jeans anymore because I just can't stand them. I just can't stand being that confined. When I do wear pants, I wear these kind of loose fitting cargo pants, because that's the only thing I can stand to wear, because I don't like the constriction of the clothes, and the constriction of my movement that goes along with that constriction of the clothes. And that goes the same for shoes. Shoes are very constricting of your feet, and most of the year, until we get the below zero temperatures here, I wear sandals, and I enjoy wearing sandals because it gives me more of that freedom of movement of my foot, less of that constriction. But at the same time, it's not really the same thing as the bare feet. Spending time in the bare feet, the muscles of your feet get worked in ways that they wouldn't otherwise. It's kind of like, say you had your arm in a cast all the time, except when you went home and you were on the couch, then you took your arm out of the cast, but you're not really using it. But for the rest of the day when you're outside, you got your arm in a cast. That's what it's like, wearing shoes. Shoes are basically like casts on your feet. They like far overly protect your feet, I think, and in a way that's detrimental, where the muscles and stuff atrophy, where your skin gets really tender and soft, when it shouldn't be, when that's one of the places where your skin should be the most hard. I've been working all summer, going barefoot when I can, running barefoot, walking around barefoot. Even when I'm at my office, as soon as I'm in my office, I take off my sandals and I'm barefoot. I try to be barefoot as much as I can, and I've built up, a bit of callus on my feet as a result of being barefoot. And to me, I think it's it feels good. When I first was I started barefoot running at the end of last winter. It really hurt. Like, I was getting blisters, like crazy blisters, and rubbing my feet raw on the concrete and stuff. Now I can run for miles with my bare feet, and it doesn't hurt. I can even like run on sharp rocks and pebble kind of a thing, and it doesn't really hurt. It's slower than if I was to go running in my shoes, but I think it's way better for me. I know there's a lot of movements out there toward barefootedness in some of these fitness activities, like barefoot running or barefoot parkour, these kind of things. And some of the arguments that they use to justify why going barefoot's a good thing are solid arguments. Like, they say, you look at runners who wear shoes, and all the time they're getting leg and knee injuries and ankle injuries and all these kind of things, all kind of injuries to their legs. And the theory is because you're running barefoot and you're going heel toe instead of a more natural, springy kind of calf oriented human gait on the balls of the feet. And I believe that's true. I believe that's true. I believe that once we put on those shoes, it is detrimental to our feet. It makes us walk differently, and I believe that because I know, here in Blackfoot country, people used to wear moccasins, and when you wear moccasins, you don't walk heel toe. You walk more that natural on the ball of your foot walk. It's not like totally walking, with your heels raised off the ground all the time or anything like that, but your ball of the foot gets a lot more of the initial shock action of hitting the ground. So, and I know runners do get a lot of injuries, and so it is in all kinds of different activities, including like martial arts and stuff. People get a lot of leg injuries. How much of it is due to wearing these casts on their feet? It's a good question, I think. I do understand the argument in the martial arts that the shoe can be used basically as another type of weapon, because there are hard parts of the shoe, pointy parts of the shoe, and the foot protection there, that you can utilize that shoe. If you practice in the shoe, you can utilize it to your advantage as a weapon. But for me, like, I get enough practice in shoes during the winter. I don't need it during the summer. During the summer, it's the time for me to work on building up my muscles of my feet, building them up, building those calluses. I mean, even in the winter, now that I got a workout space in the basement, I plan to be barefoot most of the time when I'm practicing down there. When I'm at the park in the winter, then I wear my Fayou shoes. And I like the Fayou shoes because the Fayou shoes, they're just a canvas shoe with a really thin sole, and it doesn't have any arch support bullshit going on in there. And it's like wearing moccasins. That's how it feels like to me. So I like those Fayou shoes. I saw when the barefoot running movement really started to take off, and they put out those shoes with the toes. I found those shoes are just retarded. I bought a pair of those shoes initially, took them on a walk out here, and all of a sudden I'm getting all kinds of like grass and willows and all kind of plants and stuff stuck between my toes. And it's not like barefoot where you can just wiggle your toes and stuff and pull that stuff out of there real easy. Those soles are still so fucking hard that you can't wiggle your foot and move it in the right ways. And so you just pack that plant material into the toes if you're going around in a natural area like this. So I don't wear those anymore. In fact, I only wore them out here the first time to trial, and when it didn't work, I was like, well, bag that, because no reason to even have those shoes. But where I do still wear them is when I'm out gathering eggs in spring, when I have to go out into the water to look for waterfowl eggs. Then I wear them, and I wear them for several reasons, because you can be in water where there's leeches. It might help you keep the leeches off of your feet. Also, there could be anything under the muck of the water that you can't see. Could be glass under there. Could be somebody's old treble fish hooks and stuff under there. You don't know what's underneath the water. You can't see it as well as you can when you're walking around on land with bare feet. So when I do the water thing, sometimes I'll wear those shoes. But that's the only reason I see to even have a pair of those shoes, because those toe shoes, they suck. I'm not an advocate for those toe shoes. I don't think they feel like bare feet at all. They're certainly not even nearly up to the quality of the $25 Fayou shoes in terms of replicating the barefoot movement of the human foot. So I don't recommend those shoes. There's another company, I wish I could remember their name. I've never bought a pair of their shoes, which is probably why I can't remember their name. But I've seen some of the parkour guys advocating to buy those shoes, and it's like the Feiyu where the sole is really flexible. You can roll it up in a ball basically, and it's supposed to have that barefoot feeling. And they look like good shoes and everything, but they're like 120 bucks a pair, and I'm not going to pay that kind of money for those shoes when I can buy Feiyu for 25 bucks. So I haven't tried those shoes. I can't tell you whether I think they're great or not. But in any case, I think, you know, for myself, I'm going to continue to work on the barefoot thing when I have the opportunity to do the barefoot thing. In the winter, when it gets really cold, then of course, you know, I'm going to have to wear the appropriate foot gear, the Feiyu at the very least, and depending on what kind of snowy conditions I'm going into, might have to wear boots and stuff. And once you get into boots, it's over. It's so restrictive and stuff. You know, it sucks. Then you're actually running with casts on your feet and that kind of thing. But so be it. Can do that for a couple of months of the year. Where the rest of the year, my feet are going to be natural human feet, and I'm walking around in them and letting them move the way they're supposed to move. So yeah, so this is my take on it. This is why I do and have been doing the barefoot thing all summer long, and why I'm going to continue doing it. You know, my whole project, my larger project, is being able to tap more of my human capacity in all different kinds of ways, in terms of subsisting on the natural abundance of the land, being able to just live right here as a real person, in terms of being able to have the kind of movement that I should be able to have as a human being, have the kind of strength and flexibility and speed and agility and stamina and all of these things that as a human being I should be able to have. I'm going to keep working on all of that stuff, and to me the barefootedness, it fits in that whole program because it's part of the human body, and it's part of it that really we restrict the most. You know, you think about women and their feet and how much silly shit that they do with their feet with these heels and these kind of things, or even the cowboys with their pointy boots and high heels. I mean, why are we doing that to our feet? You know, why don't we let our feet out of the box and let's be a little bit more human. So that's why I'm doing it. I think it's you know, it fits into my project well, and I think it's the healthier thing to do. There are the potential dangers. There are, you know, potentials for funguses. There are potentials for injury if you step on the wrong thing and that kind of. But for the most part, I've been doing it all summer. I haven't had any problems. So that's what I'm going to continue to do, and that's why I'm doing it. Alright, this is just a little supplement to go with the barefoot talk that I was doing before. It's just an example of one of the ways that our culture creates these landscapes and architectures that really hinder us from being to express ourselves body-wise to our full potential. And this is a good case in point, I think. This trail that I'm on, it's like this coal slag. They used to mine coal here, and they have big piles of coal slag in the dips in the coulee. Some of that stuff has been burning underground for years, and it turns this red color from where it starts off black when it burns underground. And then the city of Lethbridge, where I live, they mine this stuff and they lay it out on these trails in the city parks. And supposedly, you know, they put it out here to make the park more accessible to us, to give us a nice trail that we can use to navigate our way through the park. But to me, well, it's supposed to make things more accessible or whatever. In actuality, it hinders us, because I've been walking on this on my way back to the vehicle, and it's pretty painful on the feet. Even my feet that have been toughened up all summer, this stuff is pretty painful to walk on. I gotta walk really slow and carefully. And you know, it would be the same if I was wearing something as thin-soled as like moccasins, for instance. So if you want to engage in this nature park as a natural human being, they've thrown an obstacle up here. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of the way that they suppress our ability to express ourselves to our full capacity as the natural humans that we are. So they lay this stuff out there, and this stuff works really great if you're in the culture thing where you're wearing big cast-like shoes on your feet that you don't feel anything underneath you. Then yeah, it works great, and people of all ages can come walk out here with their cast-like shoes and what have you. They can use their baby stroller or whatever. But for real people that are walking on their feet, this stuff is like agonizing. It's so much more comfortable to walk in the grass or to walk on the mud, you know, to follow the deer trails, this kind of a thing. So, you know, in all these little subtle ways, I think our culture is playing against us. And it's because that's part of the whole intent of the design of the culture. Although at this point, you know, that's not anything that we're really conscious of most of the time, but it is playing out all of the time in the ways that we do build our cultural world, our material cultural world. Every chance we get, we are suppressing the human in the choices that we make in building that. So just something to be considered. But my opinion is that this stuff is part of the problem that's keeping us from being human.